you guys. Welcome to the box, people. Today we are going to talk about Halloween Kills. And if Lulu can join us, she is going to take over and talk about some Grey's Anatomy stuff. We are hoping that she can join. Chrissy is sick and she will not be here today. But we do have the lovely Tina. Did you see my light just fly over?
That was actually a cool. Yeah, the way it looked, like horrorish, not horrorish.
You said it. You just called my light a whore.
No, horrorish.
I think that's rude and disrespectful. My light is offended.
What do we talk about? Those voices
that keep doing that. Okay, so last Saturday on the 30th, I watched Halloween with a friend of mine, my son, his girlfriend, and Halloween Kills is awesome. And then I was lucky enough to get to watch it with Tina on Wednesday night. So we watched that because I knew I wanted to talk about it today. So, Tina, do you have any thoughts you'd like to share?
Well, I'm one of those people, unfortunately, that will talk throughout a movie. But I have to say, Sunny, first of all, watching it with Sunny, she wasn't one of those people that was like, oh, something's going to happen, so that was cool. But I really, really dug the beginning. I love the flashbacks. I think they nailed it. It looked really like 70-ish.
Oh, and yeah.
What blew me away was Don Loomis. Now, you had explained to me
Sam Loomis.
What?
Sam, what did you call him?
What did I say? Dr. Loomis.
You called him Don Loomis. I'm like, who the hell are you talking about?
No, but yeah, I don't know why I said that. But Dr. Loomis, can you explain, because you explained it really well to me, how they did that? Because it looked and sounded just like Dr. Loomis.
Yeah, there was only a couple little things that were off to me, and one of them was the forehead, and just the way the wrinkle set. But let me tell you, I am not complaining about that whatsoever. I am a Halloween fan through and through. The only ones I don't like are the Rob Zombie ones. I think they're not good. But starting with the 1978 John Carpenter classic, I am a huge fan. So because of that, and because Donald Pleasance, that's where you got that from, Donald Pleasance, the actor who played Dr. Sam Loomis, he was in several of the Halloween movies. And so because of that, he is by far, even out of the Michael Myers, even Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode, I love Dr. Loomis. There was just something about him. Like, he seemed like the kind of guy that would, just who really cares. And so I just kind of dug him. And then the actor himself was a class act, like a charming, charming man. So that being said, to see, we should have mentioned, and we should go back and maybe when we start the program, maybe say there's going to be spoilers or something.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I'm going to put it right in the title.
Okay. And then I'd be like, trigger warning. And so anyway, so the thing is all of a sudden, Dr. Sam Loomis pops up in one of these flashback scenes. And when I saw him, I literally was like, kind of like overcome for a second. Like, how did they even do that? So I just want to go back real quick. So in H2O, when Halloween H2O came out, this is of course after Donald Pleasance died. And when that comes out, there is a scene where Marion, the nurse, who ended up taking care of Dr. Loomis before he died, and that specific Halloween, she's in her office, and then it kind of pans, and you start seeing all the, you kind of know that she's taking care of Dr. Loomis because the Laurie Strode folder is there, right? And then the opening starts up for the movie. And it pans across this wall and you hear Dr. Loomis's voice. And in that Halloween, I remember being really touched because I was like, what a way to honor him, only to find out later that wasn't him talking. They didn't go back and get that from old recordings. What they did was they had an actor come in that sounded enough like him. And then they had one of Donald Pleasance's friends come in to sit there and kind of say, yeah, that's how he would have said that. Or,
I didn't
and
even,
that's how they recorded that
I
whole
didn't know
thing.
that. I thought that was. I,
No, the reason they couldn't use it is it had been recorded over so many times apparently, to use for different things, and so they couldn't use it, something along those lines. So in this one, the way they did that, there was like a crew member, I believe, that had the same body type as Donald Pleasance, and then what they did is they used prosthetics, and that is how they bring Donald Pleasance to life in this one as Dr. Sam Loomis. And when he runs in, the only thing I noticed that was different was his speech. So when he says, did he kill again? And he's like yelling it. But I'm not like I said, I'm not even complaining about that, because just to get to see him, I was so excited, because he is by far my favorite character of the Halloween movies.
we also learned a lot from the first movie that we didn't know about. Like they went back and they told that one cop's story. I'm blanking
Right.
on his name right now. And the other cop that was looking out the window, spoiler alert, the
Yes,
one
spoiler alert. Yeah,
that
there will be a lot of spoiler alerts in this. So if you did not pay attention to the opening, be aware that we are going to be saying some things, especially about the end of the movie, in which I really want to discuss something I noticed in the end of the movie.
well,
So,
yeah. So going back to like I thought they did a really good job going back to like the 70s, and it felt like it was in the 70s. Like they remember I even talked to you about the font. Like when they started the movie, they used like the same font.
oh yeah, I like that. And I did like that. Can't pronounce his name, but the original one that put up the money for Halloween, he has sent, he died. And so then I noticed his son took over, and now his son's name is up there. And I thought that was, I mean, it's just like kind of a cool thing, because, it's been 40 years. So people have passed away, their children have begun to take over some things. And to see that, even like in the background stories of all that, I thought was fascinating. There was one disappointment I had, and it's nothing against Anthony Michael Hall. I love him. I loved him in The Breakfast Club. I love him in all these movies. But okay, and I don't know what happened to the original actor who played Tommy Doyle, but because they brought back all these actors, I was a little disappointed that it wasn't our Tommy Doyle that was going to be there. Nothing against Anthony Michael Hall. Like I said, I think he's
he knocked it out of the park. Whatever the situation was, he did.
He did do a great job. I wanted to make sure I was giving the correct name on that actor, though, the character name, because I feel like it's important to mention. And I'm not even seeing him here. Why they didn't give him credit, I don't know. But he was in the 2018 Halloween as well. And he was the police officer. And why am I blanking on his name now?
About?
The police officer, remember the one that got like in the neck? And he was in this one. He was in the hospital. Here it is. He plays Officer Hawkins. And that's played by Will Patton. And so there was some great scenes in this movie. And one of them, because I thought it was really going to be sad if they didn't bring it up. So, in the last Halloween from 2018, we see that Oscar, the one that was like really best friends with Allison and her boyfriend Cameron, right? So we see that he's died. So what I thought was fascinating is there's a scene in the beginning of the movie, like the very opening scene, where he's calling Oscar. Cameron's calling Oscar, and he's like, I got to make this work with Allison. And then you see his friend that is hanging up still on those bars, and you see the phone light up in his pocket. And that I thought was really well done, because sometimes they don't do that. You're just supposed to assume that we all remember that so-and-so died, which, a diehard fan I would remember, but someone new to the franchise.
Well, then later the mother sees him in the hospital.
That's exactly what I was going to bring up. The mama sees him. And if you're a parent, I don't, even if you have an animal, right? And you love that animal. Yeah. She sees her baby laying back there. And I just thought that was heart-wrenching. I thought this actress only had like a minute tops, I think, in that entire scene. Once when she's going, is he okay? When she's trying to talk to like the nurse. I'm gonna fix my chat. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm sliding down. You buy a chair, buy a good one that doesn't just sink on you when you're sitting
I'm
in it.
professional. I'm sorry.
And I'm gonna be like your mom and send 500 chairs at like Walmart or something.
I'm
And
talking about my mom.
I'm talking about your mom. And
Yeah.
so I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen to your mom in the next movie. And so anyway, so let's cut that part out. So,
Oh no, we're not cutting anything out. Remember?
yeah, but we'll leave it just as it is. So I thought that was really great. One of the things I wanted to bring up, most of you know because I've talked about it before. I think Nick Castle is amazing, and he is gone on to direct things and write things. He was behind the whole Hook movie. He's the one who put that movie together and ended up leaving the project, but it was his idea, all these things. But he was the original Michael Myers, which I always thought he did a fantastic job. But I got to give a shout out because I want to make sure I pronounce his name correctly. James Jude Courtney. He was fantastic as Michael Myers. And I think it's just his overall presence. Number one, he's a tall guy. He's big. He's not fat by any means, just a big dude. And there's something about that. Like there was a scene in the 2018 one and this one where you see him put the mask back on, and it's like it changes his whole body type. Because he goes kind of looking from like an old man to putting that mask on.
Yeah,
and
there
it's
was
like
vulnerability there. You're right.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it's almost like it changes his entire body, his entire persona. And I thought that was really well done. So there's a scene near the end of the movie where you think this is it. Michael's finally going down, but we know because of Halloween ends next year, that's not the case.
Yeah, but that ending is very frustrating.
Dude, I thought it was really well done. I understand why so many people are upset about it. I will say there was one thing that annoyed me, and that's Marion, and I love her, and it makes me so sad that she's gone in this one. But why are you shooting the windows out? And I'm not saying that Michael Myers is going to just dive through one of those windows. I mean, he could, but why are you shooting the windows out?
Remember what we noticed? In the first.
Oh yeah.
Where Michael Myers slaps, like they did a lot of callback. So when he was going after the people in the truck and he slaps the windshield, he also did that in an earlier movie, but it was a side window.
Right. He did it on the passenger window for the front seat. Yeah. And that was like in the beginning. That's where you first even see the Michael Myers character as an adult, was in that scene. And so that whole scene where he's standing there and the knife is bloody and we know he's killed like a teenager. That part was, and I do want to talk about the fact, Tina and I have spoken about this, but I will say the movie's incredibly graphic when it comes to the kills. And there's a scene that really disturbed me because it said Michael Myers on a different level. And I did like the part where he's in the house and he's in the bathroom and that elderly man turns on the light and Michael Myers breaks the light. I did think that was incredibly well done. It was definitely a jump scare. But we know he hurts the elderly man, but the elderly man is still alive. And then he takes a fluorescent light and he stabs the wife into the neck and then he breaks off the light. So my thought there is that he paralyzes her. And the reason I believe that is because later on, he has this husband bent over a table and he's stabbing him. And like over and over again. And like
several knives through his body. Yeah. As the wife.
Several knives. Until he gets to the big kitchen knife and then he leaves. But the hardest part of that scene was this woman cannot move. She literally is helpless and defenseless, cannot even move. And she's just like, almost like she's propped up. I don't think he propped her up that way. I think she fell that way and he just kind of like left her there. And I don't think she was able to move anything. I think he paralyzed her. And then he just leaves. He leaves him there.
Left there to watch someone she loves die and then slowly suffer and die. And it goes to that whole transcendence thing. He was brutal. Like,
yeah, there was like, well, because remember what you and I talked about, like in the beginning scene where you see an officer standing out the window because somebody believes that Officer Hawkins says it, where Michael Myers would stand there and stare out the window. right? And some say he was staring at his own reflection. Well, Michael could have done that anywhere. You could sell at your own reflection. You don't have to be in that house, right? So that part I didn't know if I totally was on board with. But anyway, there's an officer standing there, and Michael Myers comes running out at him. And then I had mentioned to Tina that I believe that's because that was a younger Michael Myers before he gets even more bold.
Yeah, because why? He was never that fast, right? Yeah.
Right. And so I just thought that was like kind of, that was crazy to me. And then when he leaves the house, he kind of walks away with the same speed when he first walks away from that body and the other police officer who is, you know, with his friend. Because he didn't kill both police officers. He just killed one. And then the other scene that I found really kind of hard to take was when Cameron dies. And because number one, he breaks his wrist with his foot because Cameron's trying to get the gun. And like, and I'm not like, I get that, right? But like you hear it and it's like very graphic. And then he breaks out part of the banister. And so there's like a sharp piece at the top, a sharp piece on the bottom, and he's just taking Cameron's body and going between the two. So I believe Cameron gets paralyzed as well. And that one, I felt like, as much as I hated Michael in that moment for hurting this teenager, I also thought I was kind of glad he killed Cameron in the end and broke his neck, because at least Cameron didn't have to lay there and deal with whatever he was dealing with inside his head. And I felt like he at least put him out of his misery. And I'm not saying that like, hey, go put somebody out of misery, but I'm saying like,
you're seeing, yeah, but you're seeing like in the first movie, he was like killing people instantly, stabbing them. They were fatal wounds. And this, he's beaten and bludgeoning to death. He's paralyzing. It's like he wants these deaths to be slower. And he's even gotten symbolic when he kills Big John and Little John. And he sets up their bodies in such a way to almost match the picture, even though they're in opposite positions.
Yeah. I kind of would like to know the backstory of Big John and Little John. And I don't know, like, if Halloween Ends is going to continue from like 2018, like the way it did. Like, so the movie we just watched is also 2018.
It has to be.
Yeah. And so I'd like to know more about Big John and Little John. And number one, I like the actor because he was from Mad TV. And I kept saying as a joke, I would have loved if he were to put his foot out and be like, to Michael Myers, be like, no,
don't.
Yeah, right.
Oh, don't.
Yeah. I would have loved it because the way he played Stewart. I just think that would have been like.
The mother pops out Stewart.
The mom's like, let him stab you with a knife, Stewart.
I'm sorry, but his father left us on a Tuesday.
He's still not back. But and so anyway, I know. But anyway, yeah. So I just felt like the way he positioned the bodies, the music he had playing, but I also feel like those guys were obsessed with Michael Myers in their own weird way.
What did you say? You picked up on?
Yeah, because there's a scene that after Big John dies, and he is over his, his partner, and he's like, the way he's looking at him, obviously he clearly obviously his partner's dead, right? And so anyway, when he looks up and realizes Michael Myers is standing there looking out the window, and he says, Michael, you've come home. And that's the only reason. I don't think Michael would have realized he was even there. But it's because he spoke and he said Michael's name. And then Michael turns around and there's a look on his face. What's that actor's name? I can't think of his name. He played Stewart on Mad TV, but I'm gonna look him up real quick. But anyway, there's a scene when that happens, and he almost looks happy that Michael Myers is there. I don't know how.
It was a weird reaction, and then the fact that they didn't show him getting. I mean, he dies because later you see their bodies, but
Michael McDonald is the actor. Well done, by the way. He did a great job.
I miss seeing him. He's so good. But
and I wanted to mention too that scene that I thought was really well done. Now, keep in mind that so these kids come to the Michael Myers house and they trick these guys, who I think these guys are probably really loving guys, because it seemed like everyone kind of liked them. And they're not only that, but when Cameron and Allison walk in and see them, there's a look that crosses their face, and Allison goes, no, no, no. Like, and I think the reason for that is I think these were beloved people in their town. I'm wondering if they were like even teachers at the high school or something, like, you know, where like the kids had real interaction with them in some way. But there was a scene. So these kids come, which I thought it was a really good prank. You'll have to, I'm not going to go into it, but if you watch the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. And then later on, there's like an hour or so later, like in Halloween time, somebody pounds on their back door and they kind of think it's another prank. And so Michael McDonald's character goes to the back door, opens it, and then shuts it. And then they go to the front door, right? And then nobody's there. And then so when Michael McDonald goes to check to see if he's locked the door, he sees the bloody handprint and he sees that it's that of an adult, right? And he tells him, well, and this is a scene that killed me. So when his husband goes and picks up the knife, is this little tiny knife. And I was like, yeah, go use that to fight Michael.
Like a cheese dagger. Yeah.
Yeah, like, your little cheese knife. You go get him.
Big John with the little knife and Little John with the big knife.
Yeah, right. And so really well done. And I also love the Michael McDonald's character scares himself in the mirror when he walks by.
That gif you sent with the lady with the green mask.
Yeah. I do that stuff to myself all the time if anyone's cared. Yeah. But stop looking at me like that. I am allowed to do my voices. And people love them. That's why we have thousands and thousands of followers. And so anyway, but yeah, the movie was really well done. There is one thing, Tina, do you know where I'm going to go with this? Like something about Laurie and Michael?
Well, yeah, before you, I don't know if this exactly.
No, I want you to take over and talk about
it. I was going to say too, I really like the movie, but one of the things that really bothered me is Laurie wasn't in it that much. And it didn't make sense to me why Michael wouldn't go to the hospital. All of a sudden, they made it about this house.
Yeah.
Like Lonnie was looking on the map and they figured out, okay, he's going, okay, maybe he was going to go to the house and make a stop and kill whoever is in his house because that's his house. That's his, you know, whatever.
Right.
Domicile. But it didn't make sense to me why he wouldn't go to the hospital, why it's not about Laurie all of a sudden.
Right.
And here's Laurie next to the cop, you know, Hawkins, and you know, she had no face-off with Michael. All the townspeople at one point were at the hospital. Then, of course, that mental patient, which was heartbreaking.
Oh, that was horrendous, that scene. Because, you know, I kept thinking about, like, a child thinking all these people were after them. Like, that's how I kept picturing it. Like, picturing, like, my little Spencer, like being afraid and thinking these people were coming after him. And what choice did this patient have but to do what he did? And I thought that was really sad. And then I thought that was really graphic. Normal, like the way afterwards, I'm not going to go into it. So, but I thought even that was really graphic.
Yeah, I agree with you. There was a lot of graphic scenes. Were you going to go with the fact that Laurie, why Michael wasn't going to the hospital and why they didn't have a standoff for him?
No, I just wanted to say that I was really disappointed by it. That, I mean, and just the fact that she kept going, we got him, we burned him to the ground. And I'm thinking, Lord,
evil does tonight.
Yeah. So like that kind of stuff, like was kind of, I don't know, it seemed out of character for Laurie. But then again, I think I'm maybe basing that off the other sequels that no longer take place in this 2018.
Actually, you're right. That didn't make sense. Because when the fire department was going by them, she's like, let him burn. And she was freaking out. And then at the hospital, maybe because she was on the drugs, she's like, we got him. We got him.
We burned him to the ground. Like, I want to talk about, there's a scene, and I think Allison is badass. Would you stop it? I think Allison is badass. Like, I like her. And so when she is downstairs and in Michael's house, and Michael is turning the knife to face her, and she's like, do it. Like, do it. Like, and at this point, she's lost her dad. Her boyfriend has just been killed. Her friend Oscar has just been killed. She now knows that her best friend and the best friend's boyfriend has been killed from the 2018 film. Like it, I think for her, she was just like, I mean, you're losing a lot of people
Yeah,
and
she
one
annoyed me.
thing.
This is your mother.
And then all of a sudden the mom comes in as Michael's possibly going to kill Allison, and comes in and just stabs him in the back with what do you call that thing?
A pitchfork.
It's what?
A pitchfork.
A pitchfork. Yeah, stabs him in the back. And then now, I mean, I know why she left him that way. Like, because she had this whole little plan worked out in her head of how they were going to take him out. But I think that was a hard scene too, to watch, where she's, because in the 2018 one, when she's like, I can't do it, and she's down the basement, she's got the gun pointed at Michael, and she's like, I can't do it, and then all of a sudden Michael's there, and she's like, gotcha, right? And then the same thing, she rips the mask off Michael, she's standing in the road, and she's like, can you feel it? And she's basically repeating what the doctor said from the 2018 film, when he's like, you can feel it, Michael, can't you? Right. And I thought that was really well done, the way they did that. But then she leads Michael over to this empty street, and all these car lights turn on, all this stuff. So you kind of think, okay, something's going to happen. But then there's that scene where I think, had they attacked him when he didn't have the mask on, I think Michael would have been dead. But I'm telling you, there's something about that mask when he puts it on that it changes everything in him, everything about him, it changes him. And then we find out that,
that's what's annoying. Okay.
Yeah.
The mother and the daughter could have taken him out in the house. Then when the cocky town folk got together with their car lights that were torches, and they were beating on him, and Tommy Doyle was using his huckleberry bat, and they had him down, and they're like,
and they're stabbing him. They're like,
let's let him regain strength. Like, you people know.
You don't ever stop stabbing Michael Myers. You have to decapitate him to kill him.
Park a car on top of him. Cut his head off.
Yeah.
Stab him. Repeat.
I say you take off his legs, his arms, and you bury every part of him in a different state somewhere, so this man cannot be put back together.
And what was the point? Another thing that irritated me is they brought back, I taught Sonny a new lingo, all these OGs, which is original gangsters. So they brought back Tommy Doyle, Lindsay, Marion, and that other, what was the officer's name? The other officer?
Sheriff Brackett.
Yeah, Annie's dad.
Yeah.
And for what? Like, you're telling me they survived all these years, and then they come together as a mob, as a team, or whatever, and like 99% of them die.
Yeah. So we know that Lindsay's alive somewhere, right? Because she was taken to the hospital, but then we never saw her after that. But I believe she's alive somewhere. I do believe Michael gets to her because, he crosses the bridge.
Talk about your theory, too. About
yeah.
what Michael is looking for her. What did you say during the movie?
When say that part again?
She was hiding. We both agreed Michael knew exactly where she was.
Michael knew where she was, I think. And I think what happens is Michael crosses that bridge, circles back the other way, and gets her. But I also think he dragged her into the water, because when you see her, her hair looks wet, she's bloodied. Like, I think
but not just that. Remember what we said? That it was possible he kept her alive just to be able to pass the message that...
Yeah.
Because they were the first group that got killed in the movie, right?
Yeah, the first big group. Yeah, in this film. Yeah, and it was so sad too, because there's a lot of, I want to say this though, there's a lot of funny little scenes in it. Like, you have to catch it because it's a hardcore movie, but there's a lot of funny little things. And I'm kind of wondering if Tommy and Lindsay were together, because you notice he's wearing a wedding ring in it. It looked to me like she was wearing one. And it's the way they talk to each other. And I'm kind of wondering if that was meant to have paired them up or not. Because when she sees him and she's like, Tommy, and the way she's talking to him, it's kind of the way you would talk to someone who you were intimate with, So I'm just kind of wondering about that.
Speaking of intimate, that also brings me to another thing that you pointed out. That, well, it was pretty obvious, but I love the chemistry between Laurie and Officer Hawkins.
Oh, for sure. I was like, finally, let this poor girl get some. Like, You know, it's been like forever for her, right? We never knew. So when they did Halloween 4, we never knew who Jamie's dad was. We never got to figure that out, you know. It never comes to pass. When Halloween H2O with Josh Hartnett, who I loved as her child, I was so disappointed that they switched, you know, him out for a daughter in this one. Not that I don't love this actress, because I do. But anyway, we never found out who his dad was, and we never find out who the father is of Karen. And so I always thought that was interesting. It's like, so Hawkins would have been cool. And then he even says the reason he never did anything with her was because of, you know, Ben Tramer from the first movie, who dies in the second. He dies in Halloween 2. Ben Tramer, he gets hit by a vehicle and dies. But so Karen is with her daughter at the Michael Myers house. There's police everywhere, and this fool goes upstairs. Okay, this is after the whole town got together and tried to kill them with.
Well, she assumed that he was.
She assumes he's dead, and so she goes and stands in the same spot where Michael Myers is now apparently known to stand, and all of a sudden he appears behind her and he starts slashing her, and you see her go to the ground, and you see her like lifeless eyes looking at the camera. I have a couple different theories. One of them is that she's not dead, and that was just something that, because she's so messed up, that she just kind of like pictured it in her head or something, or maybe she fell asleep and it was a dream, whatever. But number two is, if she is dead, my theory is that Jamie Lee Curtis will be, like her character Laurie Strode, will be so messed up that she will go after Michael. And I think if Michael kills Laurie Strode, then there will be no more Michael Myers. I think he needs her to survive. But now they're talking about this whole that he's not even after her. It just happens to be all these coincidences, which I don't really believe. And so anyhow, so my theory is that she's going to be so upset that she's going to go after Michael, and this time is going to be able to get him.
You just made me think of a theory.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna love it.
Do it.
Okay. So I don't know if the daughter is dead or alive yet either. I'm not sure, but it would be interesting if she. I don't want her to die, but it would be interesting. Imagine this. So for whatever reason, in the next movie, Laurie finds her daughter in Michael Myers' house. Right. She finds her lifeless body. She stands up from grief, looks out the window. Right. She transcends like something with the window. You know what I'm saying? Remember I was telling you how I think there's something with the window. He's not looking at his reflection. He's not looking at Haddonfield like the police officer said.
Right.
He's looking, whether it's a portal or something that is hypnotizing, that is causing like something. Something.
Well, not only that, but remember there's that scene in the hospital where Karen's looking at her reflection in the window. And she's standing in the hospital. Do you remember that scene? This is after the mental patient has already, you know, and she's standing there and she's looking at her reflection in the window. So I'm not saying like it's a reflection thing, but that would be odd.
Well, I just think it would be kind of crazy if like Laurie all of a sudden goes superhuman. That moment, like you said, out of despair, she lost her daughter.
Right.
Maybe she doesn't know where her granddaughter is or whatever, and then looks out the window, and all of a sudden. But it's also interesting what you said. Imagine if I don't know if you ever saw Harry. You never saw Harry Potter, right?
No.
So just really quick, Harry Potter's a boy. There's a evil sorcerer named Lord Voldemort, and a piece of Lord Voldemort lives in Harry because when he was a baby, he tried to kill him so Harry can feel whatever. So to streamline all that, the only way for Lord Voldemort to die, so they thought, is if he kills Harry, because a piece of him lives in Harry. So he had made it so a piece of him lived in all these objects, and they found the objects and they killed these objects. Now they have to kill Harry in order for this super wizard to die, this evil, you know. So what you say makes sense, because now imagine he kills Laurie, because now that's been his thing. Although they're going off topic here, but like saying that Laurie's not
has never been the thing, the catalyst, whatever.
That's not true. Anyway, imagine, like you said, he kills Laurie and like just disintegrates, disappears. You know. That was
I really hope they don't go that route, just because I've always liked the fact that Michael is a little bit human, right? Like I've always liked that part. And one of the things I always found so scary about Michael is there was no rhyme or reason as to why he killed. He just killed because he liked it. And so that was one of the things when we found out that Michael wasn't the brother, right? Like in Halloween 2, they had to keep it going. So they made up this thing about him being the brother, which you never hear about in the 1978 version. And then in the last movie, Halloween for 2018, we find out that that was just something people said because it made it less scary. And so that Michael was never her brother. And so I think that's kind of interesting. And so we'll see what happens. I am a big fan of the film. I've only watched it like 15 times since the 30th, and we're only on the 5th. And I wanted to say I really like that they had Lonnie in this movie, and Lonnie was one of the bullies for Tommy Doyle. And Tina picked up on something really interesting when we were watching it. Tommy, because they go back to 1978, so you see them as kids, and Lonnie is trying to get home. Like he's trying to get home, and he trips and falls with his little Halloween candy. Trips and falls. And when he starts to get up, he sees Michael Myers walking towards him. And he covers himself, like he's trying to protect himself. And he says something about that being Tommy Doyle's boogeyman. Right. And I didn't even notice it in the first couple times I watched it, but Tina picked up on it. And I was like, that was awesome. Really well done. So anyway, I thought that was pretty cool.
I gotta watch it. I think there's a lot more Easter eggs in there that we probably missed, because there was a lot of callbacks. What I would really love to see is Laurie and Officer Hawkins be the one to take Michael down.
Yes.
And end up together. And
because real quick, they said Officer Hawkins said it was his fault that Michael was still alive because he had stopped Dr. Loomis from killing him. And so I think that'd be kind of amazing. If I think that's a great idea.
You don't have a different thought, Sunshine?
No, I really like yours, but no, I don't want Halloween to end. So I think that's where I struggle because
Well, do you think Halloween ends really means Halloween ends? Like,
I don't know. I think there's going to be idiots like Rob Zombie, who came out of the woodwork and was like, I'm going to make Halloween. You can't remake a movie like that. You just can't do it. And I think there's always going to be people who try to recreate it. But you can't catch lightning in a bottle twice.
Imagine Laurie becomes the new Michael Myers.
I don't like when that kind of stuff happens.
No, but I'm just saying.
Like, I think if anybody was going to do it, it'd probably be Allison, because now she's pissed. Everything's been taken from her. And so if anyone was going to do it, and if you noticed in the 2018 version, she has that knife in her hand even after she's killed him. She kept a hold of that knife.
Maybe she liked the feeling of it. It'd be interesting if Allison ends up having her own family, has a little boy who at the age of 6 kills the sister. And
that'd be something. Yeah, that would be something. So, but yeah, let us know your thoughts. Let us know what what you want to see in Halloween Ends, because we want to know. But we will tag some of these actors in the comments, and we will put up a few clips. And she's going to stop shaking her head no at everything I say. Yes. And so, but you guys, I love talking about Halloween. If you have any questions about that, or the 1970s version, which is a classic. And so anyways, so any questions, comments, anything, please share them. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We thank you for the followers that we have, but we're always looking for more. And so anyway, we are on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. And that's it from the 2 Box people today.
That was terrible.
That was the best.
You're an actor. You're supposed to pretend to get scared, stupid.
Well, I mean, normally there's a rehearsal or something. There was nothing.
A jump scare with a fucking rehearsal.
Okay, scare me now.
Uh.
Always think outside.
The
The
box.
box. Black people out.
Wow.